Let's be honest, folks, nobody likes a braggart, and nobody likes someone who flaunts their wealth while ignoring the struggles of everyday people. It's a tale as old as time, really. The rich, with their opulent lifestyles and seemingly endless resources, often appear disconnected from the realities that most of us face daily. This disconnect can breed resentment and frustration. It's like bringing your solid gold jet ski to a public pool. Tacky and a little tone-deaf, wouldn't you say? Imagine the scene. Families trying to enjoy a simple day out, and then someone shows up with a display of excess that feels almost like a slap in the face. It's not just about the wealth itself, but the insensitivity that often accompanies it. So why are we so good at hating on the wealthy? Well, it turns out there's a whole buffet of reasons, and some of them might surprise you. For instance, the perception of unfairness plays a huge role. Many people feel that the system is rigged in favor of the wealthy, allowing them to accumulate more and more while the rest struggle to get by. Buckle up, Buttercup, because today we're diving headfirst into the top 10 reasons why the wealthy often find themselves on the receiving end of some serious side-eye. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's take a moment to understand the broader context. The wealth gap has been widening for decades, and with it, the animosity towards those at the top has grown. Historically, wealth has always been a point of contention. From the French Revolution to the Occupy Wall Street movement, the masses have often risen up against the perceived injustices of the wealthy elite. This historical context is crucial in understanding why the rich are often viewed with suspicion and disdain. Another reason is the tone-deaf comments and actions that sometimes come from the wealthy. When a billionaire complains about the price of a yacht or a millionaire gripes about taxes, it can feel incredibly out of touch with the struggles of everyday people. These moments can quickly go viral, amplifying the disdain. Social media has also played a significant role in shaping public perception. Platforms like Twitter and Instagram allow for the rapid spread of information and opinions, often highlighting the excesses and missteps of the wealthy. Public figures who make controversial statements or flaunt their wealth can quickly become targets of widespread criticism. Even acts of philanthropy by the wealthy can be met with skepticism. Many people question the motives behind large donations, wondering if they're genuine acts of goodwill, or simply attempts to garner positive publicity and tax breaks. This skepticism can further fuel the dislike towards the wealthy. Economic inequality is another major factor. When people see the vast differences in income and lifestyle, it can create a sense of injustice and anger. Interviews with everyday people often reveal a deep-seated frustration with the way wealth is distributed in society. The physical separation between the wealthy and the rest of society can also contribute to the animosity. Gated communities, private jets, and exclusive clubs create a sense of us versus them, making it harder for people to relate to or empathize with the wealthy. Scandals involving the wealthy can also stoke the flames of public outrage. Whether it's tax evasion, corruption, or other unethical behavior, these incidents reinforce negative stereotypes and contribute to the overall dislike of the rich. Of course, not all wealthy individuals are deserving of the hate they receive. Many use their resources to make a positive impact on the world. However, the mixed reactions from the public show that the relationship between wealth and public perception is complex and multifaceted. So, there you have it. The reasons for disliking the wealthy are as varied as they are numerous. From perceived insensitivity and unfairness to historical context and social media influence, it's clear that the animosity towards the rich is deeply rooted and multifaceted. As we continue to navigate these complex dynamics, it's important to remember that not all wealthy individuals are the same, and broad generalizations can often be misleading. Let's be honest, the image of a Scrooge McDuck-like figure hoarding gold coins in a giant vault while cackling maniacally isn't exactly doing wonders for the wealthy PR department. The perception of the rich as inherently greedy, obsessed with accumulating more and more wealth, is a hard one to shake. It's the lifestyles of the rich and famous effect. Private jets, mega mansions, diamond-encrusted dog collars. It's hard not to see that and think, maybe they wouldn't need another tax break if they just ate regular food like the rest of us. And when the gap between the haves and the have-nots keeps widening, that perception of greed starts to feel a lot less like perception and a lot more like reality. Ah, taxes, the bane of everyone's existence except, it seems, for some of the super rich. We've all heard the stories, the Panama Papers, the Paradise Papers, wealthy individuals and corporations using loopholes and offshore accounts to avoid paying their fair share. And let's be clear, tax evasion is not just some victimless financial crime. It means less money for schools, hospitals, infrastructure, the things that keep a society functioning. It's like showing up to a potluck with an empty Tupperware container and expecting everyone else to foot the bill. Not cool, guys, not cool. The gap between the rich and the poor is widening, and it's not exactly a tiny crack in the sidewalk anymore. It's more like a gaping chasm that threatens to swallow us whole. We're talking about a system where the top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. Now, I'm no mathematician, but those numbers seem a little off. This kind of economic disparity isn't just bad for the people struggling to make ends meet, it's bad for everyone. It undermines social trust, fuels political instability, and stifles economic growth. It's like trying to sail a ship where one side is weighed down with gold bars and the other side is desperately trying to bail out water with a teaspoon. Money talks, or should I say, money screams, shouts, and throws lavish fundraisers that politicians can't resist. We all know the old saying, you can't put a price on democracy, and yet, it seems like some people are determined to try. From campaign contributions to lobbying efforts, the wealthy have a disproportionate influence on political decisions. It's like a game of Monopoly where one player starts with all the properties and gets to write the rules. And guess what? The rest of us end up in jail. Metaphorically speaking, of course. It's hard to understand the struggles of the average person when you've never had to worry about paying rent or putting food on the table. This disconnect between the wealthy and the rest of us can lead to a perceived lack of empathy. It's the let them eat cake mentality, a sense of detachment from the realities of everyday life. And when the people making decisions about healthcare, education, and social safety nets are completely out of touch with the needs of the people they're supposed to be serving, well, let's just say it doesn't exactly inspire confidence. Nothing says I'm out of touch quite like a solid gold toilet brush or a yacht that costs more than a small country's GDP. The extravagant lifestyles of some wealthy individuals can be a source of resentment, especially when juxtaposed with the struggles of everyday people. It's not that we begrudge anyone their success, it's just that the sheer excess can be a bit, obscene. It's like rubbing everyone's noses in it, a constant reminder of the vast gulf between their reality and ours. From reality TV shows to glossy magazines, the media often paints a very specific picture of the wealthy, one that is often aspirational and envy-inducing. But this portrayal can be incredibly damaging, perpetuating stereotypes and fueling a sense of inadequacy among those who don't have a trust fund to fall back on. It's the keeping up with the Kardashians effect, where wealth is equated with happiness and success, regardless of how it's obtained or the impact it has on others. Let's face it, private jets and mega mansions aren't exactly known for their small carbon footprints. The wealthy often have a disproportionately large impact on the environment, consuming more resources and producing more waste than the average person. It's the tragedy of the commons on steroids, where the actions of a few have far-reaching consequences for everyone else. And while some wealthy individuals are using their platforms and resources to advocate for environmental sustainability, it's clear that much more needs to be done to address the issue of wealth inequality and its impact on the planet. We've all heard the stories of companies crushing their competition, buying out rivals, and engaging in shady business practices to maintain their dominance. And while not all wealthy individuals or families are guilty of this, the concentration of wealth and power in the hands of a few can stifle innovation, limit consumer choice, and ultimately harm the economy. It's like playing a game where the rules are constantly being changed to benefit the already advantaged, leaving everyone else struggling to keep up. When your social circle consists solely of other wealthy individuals, it's easy to become detached from the realities of everyday life. This social disconnect can lead to a lack of understanding and empathy for the struggles of the average person. It's the ivory tower effect, where the wealthy live in a bubble, insulated from the problems facing the rest of society. And while there are certainly exceptions to this rule, the fact remains that wealth can create a social divide that is difficult to bridge. Look, hating on the wealthy won't solve anything, but acknowledging the systemic issues that allow for such vast disparities of wealth is a good place to start. We need to talk about fair taxation, closing loopholes, and investing in education, healthcare, and social safety nets. It's about creating a system that works for everyone, not just those at the very top.